Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Good and Terrible Show. I am Mr. Steal Your Food, aka Travie McFly, and this is my yellow friend right here, Mickey, the wondrous queen. And we're back here with another episode of Black Owned Chronicles, and we got my man Al Jones here today. Notary extraordinaire. He's going to tell you all about his business, where to find him, what gets him going, and how you can get in contact with him. We're all about supporting our own here at the Good and Terrible Show. We want to make sure we're highlighting influential Black movers and shakers in the DMV area and across the country. With that said, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, Al? We want to make sure we put the spotlight on you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, how you got to this point.
Appreciate it, Travis. Thanks for the intro. I am from Savannah, Georgia. I am an Army brat. My father is retired Army, so I've been all over, but I am from Savannah, Georgia. So shout out to Georgia on helping JB win the election.
Yes.
Everybody stood up. I can't tell you how proud I am to see that. Again, was an Army brat or military brat, so we went everywhere, which at the time I really didn't appreciate moving so often, but now that I'm an adult, I love it. I can't tell you how much it helped me out with being able to meet different people from different walks of life, walk into any type of room, and just do my thing. So that's where I'm from, and just a little bit about myself.
Interesting. I like it. So your father is in the military. How far, you talk about your Army brat? Is it just stop at your father? How many generations? Are you guys just a big military family?
Good question there, Travis. So my father is originally from Augusta, Georgia. My mother's she's from Chatham, Georgia. So they met each other in school. Unfortunately, just so you know, my father has passed away, so he's no longer with us. However, he had me, so I'm living on. I'm living on through him. So any accomplishments or anything that I'm doing going forward is a reflection of him and what he instilled in me.
Five points for whichever one of you guys can name the revolutionary, iconic singer that is also from Augusta, Georgia, since you brought that up.
Ooh, is it
James Brown? No.
James Brown's definitely from Georgia, but I don't think he's from Augusta. I think it's a female. I can't think of it.
I'm just playing. It was James Brown. You both got it right.
Was it James Brown?
Oh, I was like,
you both got that right. I'm proud of you guys.
Yeah,
I got nervous. I was like, they're gonna take my black. I'm already light skinned. They're like, you ain't black.
So no. Just wanted to make sure. But go ahead, Al.
Yeah, absolutely. My father went into the military to clearly escape the streets, from what I can tell. Unfortunately, he was a child that didn't know who his father was. He was adopted, so he's a foster child. So I never knew who my grandfather was. So everything that I've learned, and especially with becoming a man, came from Senior Jones, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate him. No matter how hard he was on me, he was just trying to prepare me for life. So
love it. We're all about powerful father figures and strong Black men in our community. I love it. So that's great. So obviously, you and Mickey have known each other for quite some time, and I've gotten to know you within the last year and a half or so. And you're obviously a stand-up guy. You're all about your business here. What was it about what was it about your upbringing that made you want to decide to go into being an entrepreneur?
Good question. And I'll put this out there. I think every African-American is an entrepreneur. I really do. And I don't know when that happened, why that happened, but I don't know not one African-American person, male or female, that doesn't have at least one or two side hustles. I don't. And I can't figure that out. That would be a great case study to do, is to find out or just go through and figure out why African Americans are kind of built like that. And I've never been the one to kind of just sit on my hands and hope and pray for things to come to me. So I always usually go get it. And that's how I've been, and that's how I'll continue to be.
Yeah.
Love it. I love that answer. That's an amazing answer.
It is. And I agree. I think, like you said, everybody that even you think of, whether it's somebody in your neighborhood or somebody that that's Black, they have a side hustle. Uncle Ricky used to cut hair, but he had a day, you know what I mean? Like, it's always something. We I think have that hustle mentality, that hard working, that ambition. built into our DNA.
I think
And
it
with
starts from
that,
kids.
yeah, from kids. And
Yeah.
I think with
Shoot, I
that,
think even from the lowest level, I think we saw back in grade school, middle school, high school, whatever it was, we used to see, kids coming in selling chips, candy.
Oh man.
candy.
You know what I'm saying?
Delivering
Sell anything.
papers. Like I was delivering papers at a young age. I wanted my
Yeah.
own money. That's what I know. I didn't want to have to rely on someone else to give me money. I wanted my
Right.
own money. And I think all of us can kind of feel that way, like that drive to earn it ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And do our own thing. And with that, I was going to ask, with your business, what inspired you to create Express Notary Pros? Like, what gave you that drive?
Absolutely. Good question. So I had already been looking to do other things. Like I worked part-time jobs for as long as I can remember. So, places like Best Buy, I spent years there just working on the weekends, maybe 1 or 2 nights during the week, earning that little extra paycheck just to have. But I was inspiring to do something more for myself. Like, one of the things that I realized is that I'm an achiever. So I need to, in order for me to feel good about myself, I need to achieve things. So that drove me even further to start my own business. And I've been doing the notary business for about 3 years now. So at first, I just planted a seed. I started on Google, looking around. I'm like, okay, what are the top 10 side hustles out there, right? So I looked at all of them, and I was like, wow, maybe I should pull into doing like notary stuff, or possibly like fingerprinting, things like that, where I can do this part-time but still earn enough money where it's worth it. Because you can work part-time at Best Buy, but you won't make but maybe $10-12 an hour.
Right.
Yeah,
And
it's
then you
not
got to pay
bad.
Uncle Sam.
Yeah, and Uncle
Right.
Sam. So that's basically $7 an hour.
It's not
Right.
So I'm
exactly a
like,
big cash cow.
yeah, I'm like, how can I get the biggest bang for my time? What exactly
Right.
can I do? But still also be able to hold down a full-time job, right? I didn't want to,
Right.
quote unquote, move full-time now to, my side hustle, which eventually will happen. But yeah, I just
Yeah.
had to drive to earn my own money. I had to drive to, figure out what I can do to get the best bang for my hour, the time.
Right. And
So you know what? I got a real quick question.
Yeah,
Since
absolutely.
right now it's kind of a hot spot for technology right now. We got the iPhone 12s coming out, we got the PS5s coming out. Everybody needs a new laptop. So my question is, you still got some of them connections at Best Buy? Because I mean,
That's a good question, and that's a good question, Travis. I think if it came down to it, yeah, I probably could, pull up. I'm not this guy, right? I try
ooh,
not to be this
we'll
guy.
be talking.
Yeah, I
We'll
try
be
not to be
talking.
this guy. I try not to be this guy that's like, I haven't talked to this dude in years, and then all of a sudden I'm like, hey man, how's it going?
I need a
You think
favor.
I can get that discount? I'm trying not to be that guy.
Yeah,
But
You
yeah,
got the
it
juice.
makes
You
sense.
got
It
the
makes
right.
juice,
sense.
OG. You got the juice
However,
where it's
I think
like,
I can kind of filter through a few other people to get that juice. You know what I mean? Like, hey, my man, he used to work here. He's looking for that discount. Oh yeah, I'll talk to him for you. Okay, and then
right.
they be the in between versus
There
me
you
going
go. There you
straight to that
go.
dude.
There's a
Chain
way
of
to do
command.
everything. Right.
Exactly.
It's not as bad as the pyramid schemers, though. I will say
Listen,
they're
Oh
the boldest
gosh.
people you haven't
oh
talked to in 8-9 years, and they just, hey, just I wanted to catch up. And then as soon as you sit
yeah,
down at the lunch table, they pull out a folder, and
folder.
you know what
And
I'm saying?
20
It's
other
like,
people walk in the room, and you're
you know what I'm
like,
saying?
what
Yeah,
the hell is going
Oh
on?
yeah, we're having a
they
little
pull
get
out a
together, a
binder.
housewarming. All of a sudden, you see them setting up a projector. It's like, whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, wait.
Oh
Oh
man,
man,
it's a
that's funny.
trap.
This is right. Yeah, all the exits are blocked. No
Exactly.
getting out of this now.
Oh man.
I was also gonna ask Al. I know that with Express Notary Pros that you're doing notaries, but as far as the service, can you walk us through like what a client would do with you, like how they would contact you, the meeting place, like how does the transaction work?
Absolutely. So most of my business right now is focused on real estate, right?
Okay.
So it's going to be home loans, refinances, like any type of general changes of that nature. That's where my primary focus is right now. That's where I'm getting pretty much the best bang for my buck. Meaning, if it's an hour, I'm getting somewhere between 125 to $100 an hour, right?
Nice.
And I'm in and I'm out. Sometimes it's a half hour, sometimes it's 45 minutes, sometimes it's an hour. The travel time, I really don't bake that in because With being a traveling notary, you want to track your mileage so you can write that stuff off during the tax season. And that's something we can always get into earlier, because my business is Express Notary Pro. However, we want to talk about businesses. We want to talk about how to set up your business, how to maintain your business. Because, CEO, it wasn't too long ago where I'm sitting across from you and I'm like, hey, what's up with that business though?
Right.
And you're like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
I'm
like, all right.
I was gonna say that after you finished, I didn't want to cut you off.
So
yeah.
I'll go back. I don't want to jump too forward, but definitely going to be real estate right now. However, there are other parts of businesses that do require notaries. And with me, I'll travel to you. So I'll meet you at Starbucks, or I'll meet you at Target, and we can sit down and you can talk to me about the documents that you have, whether it's a will, a living trust, things like that. And if it's something that I can notarize, I'll do it for you, no problem. But being a notary, there are some stuff that you need to verify before you just put your stamp on it. And that's what it's going to take for you to continue being a notary, is making sure you're notarizing the correct documents.
Nice.
So actually, I wanted to touch on that a little bit when you're talking about verifying things on the spot. So for those of you watching at home, Al and I were kind of chopping it up a little bit before we started rolling the camera here. But when you're getting these things notarized, who are the people that have a say so as to whether or not this is something that should be notarized? Do you already, like, who provides a list of which documents need notarized? Does it change frequently? And what are the requirements for a document to get notarized? And then once you reach that point, you also discuss a little bit when it comes to identity verification. And tell us a little bit about what that process looks like too.
Absolutely, Travis. So a notary carries a high level of verification, meaning as a notary, you're able to notarize documents that are at serious level. So this could be a trust. Someone could come to you and be like, hey, I need to change this trust, or I need to change this will, right? And for a notary to put their stamp on it, that means they're taking full responsibility that they were able to verify the individuals, they were able to verify the document. Typically, a notary is going to stamp high-level documents. So that would be, again, mortgages, refinances, trust, living trust, living wills, all these documents that the outcome can be extremely serious. So one of the things you want to do as a notary is to make sure that you have enough insurance to cover yourself if you have signed and notarized a document that comes back as an issue, because you will be held accountable. You could be brought into court, you could essentially be sued. It can happen in a bad way. So as a notary, you want to make sure that you are notarizing the correct document, and the individuals that need it notarized are there, and you can verify that they have a correct ID. So basically, very high level documents, typically notaries are going to sign, which kind of drawed me to it, right? This is another business that, again, I had to go to court. I had to swear in the court in front of the clerk and say, yes, yes, yes. And even for them to give me that recognition, and I got a certificate, almost looks like a diploma, and you get a registered number in the state of Virginia or whatever state you're in. And again, that's some serious stuff. Now I am an employee of Virginia, and I have my own notary and a registration number.
I think this is great, and for especially the fellas out there watching at home, just because right now Black women are doing an amazing job. They're the biggest demographic when it comes to opening their own businesses. They're the leading demographic when it comes to entrepreneurialism. So fellas, we need to do our part, as well as make sure we're holding ourselves to that type of standard. And I love this particular episode of Black Owned Chronicles because and I love all of our Black Owned Chronicles, but more so it's just like a lot of times we think about owning owning a shop, owning a store, owning a salon, doing something like that. You just kind of think of it as like owning just a space where you sell products, or you sell some type of services or something like that. But we don't focus as much on offering services that don't necessarily need a brick and mortar establishment, right? There's less overhead costs when you don't need to own a building to do what you do well. And there are certain jobs out there, certain businesses out there that honestly are probably never going to go out of business. Think about that. For what Al does as a notary, it's you're always going to need wills. You're always going to need mortgages. You're always going to need refinancing. Like these are cyclical things that just keep, going over and over, and keep getting incremental income. You know what I'm saying? Whether there's exactly. Whether there's a bad economy, whether there's a good economy, people are always going to need homes. People are always, not to get too grim, people are always passing away. So people need these type of documents. And so for you to have a business that's not going to necessarily go anywhere, while also not necessarily needing to contribute some of your hard-earned funds into the overhead of owning a facility or employing a staff to work that facility. I think honestly that's a really great idea. So this episode of Black Owned Chronicles, I think, stands out a little bit more to me than some of the others in terms of a different approach and a different outlook to the economical decisions that go into starting your own business. But I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
I'll take it a little bit further, Travis. I think what you said earlier about African American women and African American men, African American women are leading it. They're pushing forward with their own small businesses.
One more time. I didn't hear you.
African American women are leading it. They are pushing it when it comes to their small businesses. I mean, if you really want to learn a lot about having a small business, brick and mortar, go into that hair salon. Go into it. Talk to that owner. And she will tell you everything she went through to get to where she is now. And she might even share with you what she's trying to do going forward. And then, again, this goes forward with African-American men. Just do it. One of the things that I've had a hard time with, struggling with, is just making some more investments into my business or making more investments into myself, right? So we can get into that. And I'll explain to you what I mean by it. It's just, there's a lot of reasons why people don't do things, and I know you can probably attest to this, CEO, right? Like investing into more camera equipment, right? Because we like to tell ourselves no. I hate to say that. We love to be like, no, you can't do this. No, you can't go there. You can't have these things in your life. And I think that's some of the reason why African American men aren't pushing further when it comes to having their own small businesses.
And fear too, I think, at least for me, because I was gonna say that the reason why I have my LLC right now is because Mr. Al Jones sat with me because I kept procrastinating and was like, excuse me, we've been talking about this for some months now. Are we moving the ball forward, or are we messing around? So he sat with me, showed me how to do my register for my LLC, how to pay for it. Everything was done online. So this was pre-COVID. This was 2018. And I didn't have to leave my computer to do it. Set up my EIN number, showed me. So Al Jones.
Such a proud moment. That was such a proud moment to me.
Yeah. So that to me is like, and to this day, like, I appreciate you for doing that, because it takes some time for someone to kick you in the butt to make you go, hey, you need to do this. Because had he not said, let's do it right, because I had the money in it was silly. I had the money in the account, but I was like, I'm still no, go ahead, get this done.
Make that investment.
Do it now. Make
Plant that
investment.
seed.
It was $150 to register my LLC in Virginia, which is very inexpensive. I've spent more on sneakers before than that. So it was like, what's the issue? So I think a lot of times, for me personally as well, the fear of the unknown, because it's uncharted territory for a lot of people. And I think now, as Black people, we're evolving into a lot of different areas and arenas and businesses and services, which is awesome. But it is scary, because you see an industry where it's not predominantly Black people. You don't have anyone to ask, like, how does this work? How does that work? So for me, it was more so the fear of, like, I don't know if I can exist in this space, or, am I gonna have clients? Am I gonna have people that hire me? So just to segue onto that as well too, of what you said. And I also wanted to ask my next question, which kind of goes into that for Black people, is, as a Black man in this industry, what advice would you give other Black men and women if they wanted to get into the notary providing service? What advice would you give them?
Absolutely. So there's services out there that will you just pay them and they'll take you through the entire process and step, and they're going to charge you pretty heavily for them to do that. However, you could do all it yourself. It's all out there. Most times, and likely, if you just go to the state website that you're in and type in notary, it's going to give you step by step on what you need to do in order to obtain that notary. Virginia is very simple. It's not a very difficult process. Clearly, there are some things that you need to not be involved in, right? So you can't be a felon in order to be a notary, but the website will lead you through that entire process. But it doesn't end there. And I kind of want to back up just a little bit more and kind of talk a little bit about starting your own business, right? That is step one. Start your business before you even, because you could be a notary, right? And you don't have your business, and you can operate and collect money and this, that, and other. But you want to validate yourself and start your own business, which means you will get a tax ID. And once you get a tax ID, it's literally like you are partnered with yourself. So it's not just your tax ID is like a social security number. So it's basically like two of you, and you're able to build that tax ID up, build that credit for your business. And before you know it, you will be able to move in a different direction. You could like, okay, I've saved up enough money, or I've built enough credit through my business. I can go ahead and do a brick and mortar, and I'm gonna start doing this. I'm gonna start selling this through my big brick and mortar. So first things first, start your own business. Once you start your own business, if you want to go into the notary business, go to the state website, type in notary. It'll walk you through the entire process to get started.
Nice. Okay. And I was going to say too, though, again, go back to that fear of like the unknown. It's like sometimes in this age, we're in the information age right now. We have Google, we have YouTube, a lot of free services that we can find things out, but it's still that barrier where we're like, kind of like, I don't know where to start. So you breaking that down is definitely going to help someone go, oh, it's not as, sometimes in your head, you're thinking something is harder than what it is, and it's really not. So
I think also like another factor that people don't really think about is people's learning style, right? That can kind of be a hindrance when it comes to like taking initiative when it comes to something like starting a business or finding out, or once you've started a business and you have a certain area that you want to go into, finding the necessary steps that it'll take to get you to that validation point in your journey. Like for example, what I mean by that is, for those of you at home who don't know, there's three types of learning styles, right? There's audio, there's visual, and there's kinesthetic, which basically means hands-on type of learning. If you are somebody who is a self-starter, but your learning style doesn't necessarily fit the type of journey that somebody like Al's might have been, right? You want to make sure that you're addressing that and you're able to identify that early, so you might not necessarily go to Al and he might just tell you the step by step what he did. If you're a visual learner and he's just kind of giving you a lecture, he it's great to go to him and obtain all the information you can, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're soaking in that information, right? You want to make sure you're making yourself as much of a sponge as you can. So like knowing your learning style is a big area that you need to work on internally before you can decide to take that step in starting your business or learning how to go about the business that you want to be in. So maybe like, for example, if you're a visual learner and Al is a notary and you want to start a notary business, go to him and say like, hey, listen, can we set up a time where maybe, we can go through like some diagrams or some type of charts or have some type of PowerPoint or something like that, just so he has like a visual aid beforehand. Because if you go to him and he doesn't know you're a visual learner and he's an audio learner, he's just going to tell you about what he did and you might not necessarily soak in that information. So I think that's another thing people don't really think about when it comes to why it might have taken you so long to start your business. You just might have a fear that you won't be able to learn the way that other successful people in the business you want to go to around you, you might not be able to soak in the information the same way that they were able to. So just make sure you're prepared so you don't have that self-doubt.
Nice. That's a good point. Look who ate their oatmeal today. Oh, nice. Got the brain.
I don't even drink oatmeal. You know what I'm saying? It's all the coconut oil in my hair. It's getting into my brain.
It's soaking in your brain, and it's helping the follicles all work together.
If I were to give some advice to someone that looks like me, right, male or female, I would tell them that you want to plant your seed now. You want to take that step now. Don't let any more time go by. And you're going to learn so much along the way, not only about the business that you want to go in. If you take that step, you're going to learn a lot about yourself, right? You're going to learn a lot about what it takes for you to move forward. Again, one of the things I struggled in was just investing in myself and my business initially, right? So as a notary, one of the things you're going to need to have, especially if you're in the mortgage industry, is a really nice printer. You're going to have a printer that can handle legal paper, right? That was such a struggle for me to purchase that. Not because I didn't have the money.
Right.
It wasn't that. It was just because I was just like, do I really need it? Do I really need it? And keep in mind,
this is putting it out.
Exactly. This is someone that was like a regular at the UPS store or FedEx. And let me tell you, those people hit you over the head to print some stuff out. And I was paying somewhere between 50 cents a page to whatever. And I'm like, okay, this has to stop in order for me to move forward and get more in my business, because that was my limitation, is having to keep paying all this money to print out these documents. Now, I ordered paper from Quill. I ordered a printer from what was it? I ordered a printer from Office Depot, and I did all that underneath my business. So guess what I'm going to be able to do during tax time?
Write it off.
Write off that stuff. I'm gonna write it off.
It's the best feeling ever when you take the receipt and you put it in your little pouch and you go, I'm gonna get this back in a couple months.
Yep. This is a great investment.
Oh yeah.
So just go ahead.
But make sure you are keeping those receipts, because if you file your taxes in March and you write that stuff up and then you make a purchase in April, you got to wait till that whole next March come around for you to use that receipt. So make sure it doesn't get faded so you can't see it anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Uncle Sam was like, "What?"
I know it's going to be a lot of paper. Just make sure you're doing your due diligence to keep that paper in a safe place.
Get a receipt box.
Get a receipt box. But go ahead and plant that seed now so that you can reap the benefits of your fruit later. It might take a year. It might take 6 months. It might take 2 years. But the sooner you plant that seed, the sooner you'll be further going forward. So just take that step. Just do it.
So you mean to tell me, Al, okay, that you had connections at Best Buy and you were having trouble buying yourself a printer?
So let me explain to you. Let me explain to you what I was going through, though. But let me explain this to you, Travis. So it's been a COVID year, brother, and people started working from home, and stuff was selling off the shelves like you wouldn't believe it. So when I had the opportunity to get that printer from Office Depot, I jumped on it because I couldn't find it anywhere else. So you bring up a good point, though. The Best Buy Connect. But
sometimes
definitely
you walk around your connections and you're like, I need help, and they're like,
sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know.
It's who you know. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, but I am glad that you were able to come and kind of shed some light on a business that most people don't even really think about. I'll be completely honest, even myself, before talking to you today, before talking with Mickey, getting prepared for this week's episode here, I never really thought about notary. I mean, I always knew that like notary is somebody that needs to be involved in certain processes there, and I've gotten some things notarized before. Not once did I ever think about that as a legitimate like entrepreneurial endeavor. You know what I mean? I not once did I ever think, you know what, notary would be a feasible position to have. It's just something that never really comes to mind. There's a whole lot of businesses out there for people who are watching at home, especially our Black young men and women. There's a whole lot of businesses out there that people are making real legitimate money from that you would never ever think about. They just kind of fade into the background. And unless you're actually doing your part to research some of these things, like Al said, he went online and Googled some of the most popular side hustles, right? So when you're actually making the effort to go and obtain that information and look up some of these positions, there's a whole lot of businesses out there that you would never even think of that could really make a difference for you and your family, for your children, your significant others, whatever you got going on. So just make sure that you're not that you're actually using all avenues available to you when it comes to what it could be. Like if you're in an area that you think just has a lot of competition for what you want to do. Not saying don't do that. Obviously, still pursue if you have a passion for something. But if you repeatedly just find yourself like, hey, listen, 50 other people in my neighborhood are all doing X. Maybe try another Y. Maybe try a Z. You know what I'm saying? Look at some other options that are going to set you apart and kind of make you something different. Now, don't give up on your passions. I'm 100% not encouraging that. Still follow your passions, but it's always cool to have another ace in the hole. I'm just saying.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I agree. I think that for entrepreneurship, the more sometimes you hear something, it's like it gives you that motivation, like, okay, let me dig down into what my talents are. Because I think as a people, we all have tons of talents, and not even just talents as far as like, the norm, like basketball, football, or sports, or singing, dancing. It's like a lot of things. Some people have a talent for, customer service. Some people have a talent, or not even a talent, that gift where they, love dealing with people. They like helping the elderly, they like children, and that could be another avenue for a business, but they just think, oh, it's just something I like to do. Sometimes it takes that, seeing other people, grow in their passion and take that passion and, monetize it. So
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So Al, my man, why don't you
Yeah.
tell all the folks at home how they can get in contact with you, how they can support you if they need your services? Tell them where to find you and how to get in touch with you.
Absolutely. So my email address is going to be one of the easiest ways to get a hold of me. It is Al Jones Jr. So Al Jones Jr. at expressnotarypro.com. And just shoot me an email. You got a question, you want to talk about something, that's probably one of the best places to reach me. I am on Instagram. Just go to Express Notary Pro. You'll see my Instagram come up, as well as Facebook, Express Notary Pro. I happen to pick one of the hottest business names out there. No one else has it. And, again, that's another conversation we can go into, especially with picking a name for your business.
Mm-hmm.
You want it to be very unique. CEO, we
Yes.
remember that
The
S
Z,
or that Z,
yes,
right? We
the Z
talked
in my
about that.
business name. I was gonna
Um,
only the good things was with an S, and Al said no, do a Z, CEO, and I said, is it gonna look? He was like, no, the Z is gonna make it different. And to this
I'll
day,
make it
you
different.
were 100% right.
Stands out, right?
It
So
stands out.
another conversation, but you'll find me in pretty much almost all the platforms. My email address is the best way to get a hold of me. If there is a document that you need notarized, shoot me an email, and then we can talk over the phone, and we'll figure out if it's something I can help you with, or I can direct you somewhere else. Because that's another thing about notaries. They're almost everywhere. And one of the ways that, if it's not my mortgage side that I'm working on, if it's an emergency situation and you need something notarized so that you can have it the next day, you don't have time to go to the bank, you don't have time to go to the UPS store, that's where I can meet you somewhere and help you out.
Right.
So just keep that in mind. If you are thinking about moving in a direction of becoming a notary, there's so many different facets of the business that you can go in, and you want to get the best bang for your buck. You don't want to make that $10-15 an hour when you can make that 90 or that 125 an hour just from making a few steps further and doing some more research. So other people are doing it, you can do it, trust me.
Yeah, absolutely. What he said, ladies and gentlemen, I ain't got nothing else to say after that. He summed it up. Do that. Whatever he said, do that.
Just do it.
Just do it. Shout out
Plant
to
that
Nike.
seed now. Plant that seed now so you can grow that fruit.
So 2021, the fruit can, plant
the
it
fruit
now.
will come in.
We got 2 months left. 2020 is
2021, you
almost
got the
over.
tree. Plant the tree seeds now.
Right.
Now.
So you got the apple tree in 2021 and 2022. Because who doesn't like apples? That's all I'm saying. Shout out to the iPhone 12.
iPhone 12.
Oh my gosh, Al, thank you so much for joining us, taking the time out on a Friday on our anniversary day. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. I'm glad to be invited on. If you need me for anything else, please do not hesitate.
You're on the list now. You're on the list. So like, hey, I need you for this.
Oh, Yeah, shout out when I buy my house. Nah,
Yeah, holla at me. You know, I look at it like this too. I have nieces and nephews, and I want them to get the knowledge that I have. And being able to be on this call with you, being able to show up on your YouTube page allows that to happen. So I'm forever indebted to you. You know, I appreciate it.
Well, thank you, sir. We really appreciate that. And you
it.
didn't even realize it, but you just gave us an amazing segue talking about our YouTube here. For those of y'all who don't know, our podcast is now a full year old. The Good and Terrible Show has made it to a 1-year anniversary, and it's all thanks to people like Al and the people like you watching at home who have liked, commented, subscribed, and viewed it, shared it with your mama, your daddy, your dog, everybody in the world who wants to watch our podcast. Make sure you're making it available to them. Share it. We got plenty of things to say. We love entertaining y'all. We love cracking jokes. We literally talk all day for no reason, so you might as well help get us paid to talk.
Let's go. Let's monetize it.
Let's get more Capri Suns, because that's.
I'm looking forward to getting my coffee mug pretty soon. I'm just putting that out there.
There you
putting
go.
that in the universe.
The merch, thank you. The merch is coming, because me and Travis talked about that. So we are gonna do merch for the Good and Terrible Show. We're just trying to get it.
I'm ready.
Yeah, absolutely. We got some merch here, so y'all can be fresh as us. You know, I know you peeping our outfits and want to be like us, but it's all cool.
Coming soon.
That's right. we gonna hustle everything. Waist beads, orange slices, Dr. Scholl's insoles,
Afro picks, everything.
Hair barrettes. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna be everywhere. Your own pair of Travis McFly shades. I'm just saying. Goodness.
Ray-Ban who? I want the Travis McFly.
That's right. The McFly life. The McFly way. Mr. Steal Your Food over here. Go ahead, Mickey. Tell them who you are.
Mickey, M-I-C-K-E-Y.
Al, tell them one more time who you are.
Al Jones.
Make sure y'all know these names from the Good and Terrible Show. We love y'all. Have a great night. Y'all be blessed.
Bye.
Take care.